Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons and Dragons and what we're willing to do to tell a story as dungeon performers. A person who plays a Dungeons and Dragons player character at the Dungeons and Dragons table. All right, I want to talk about this in context to 2023 Zac Efron's and Jeremy Allen White's The Iron Claw, A24 film, 100% worthy of winning every single major Oscar in 2024. Best movie of the year, by far, next to the Dungeons and Dragons movie. All right, so spoilers for The Iron Claw here. Zac Efron. So if you're not watching him, there is an incredible movie reviewer right here on YouTube. All his stuff is free. You should watch every review he's done. His name is Popcorn Beard, and he's my favorite reviewer after Grace Randolph and after Fish Jelly. Yeah, right. He's my third favorite reviewer. He went to see this, and in his review, he said he saw the. I watched his full review before I before I saw this film. So I was fully spoiled on this film. I still love the film. It was amazing. And Popcorn Beard said that Zac Efron looked like He-Man, and I was like, oh, that's a cute statement. I'm sure he had some muscles. I'm sure he didn't look like He-Man. He-Man had gigantic legs and a gigantic torso, and no waist. Like, it's physically impossible to look like He-Man. Oh my gosh, Zac Efron looked like He-Man in this movie. It was redonkulous. I've never seen anything like it. Zac Efron transformed himself to tell a story, and he succeeded. This film, the story that Zac Efron told about Kevin von Erich, is the best narrative story this year, except for Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. So I really think Zac Efron, he transformed himself to tell a story. Okay, now you think that Dungeons and Dragons is a game. You're a fool. Dungeons and Dragons has never been a game, in my humble opinion. Dungeons and Dragons has always been an identity engine, a platform for human achievement, a platform for human intellectual, emotional, and wisdom evolution. All right? Um, it's more, okay? And the reason why I fight so hard against people who claim that Dungeons and Dragons is a game is because I want Dungeons and Dragons to reach the pinnacle it can reach, right? And what is that pinnacle? Well, it's when people are willing to sacrifice and transform themselves for the sake of story. And nobody's ever going to do that if they think they're playing a game, right? Zac Efron transformed himself to tell a story with A24, to tell a story with Jeremy Allen White, to tell a story, right? Because film is something that people are willing to sacrifice because it's considered art. And every time anyone says Dungeons and Dragons is a game, they're saying this isn't art. This is trash that can be thrown away from. And gather around the table and let's have fun and do nothing and be nothing and achieve nothing. Fun in a Dungeons and Dragons game is the greatest enemy of Gary Gygax's legacy, in my humble opinion. Fun at a Dungeons and Dragons table is guaranteeing that no one ever is more because they did Dungeons and Dragons. It is a cultural crime, in my opinion. It is a crime against the human spirit. It is a crime against the human intellect. Fun has no place at the table because we have to get where film is, where people are willing to transform themselves, not physically, but intellectually, emotionally, and on the access of wisdom. If we transform ourselves emotionally, if we transform ourselves intellectually, if we transform ourselves from the perspective of wisdom, if we become wise, we can do what Zac Efron did in The Iron Claw. We can tell transcendent stories. But as long as you listen to fools who tell you Dungeons and Dragons is a game, you will never get there. You will never be willing to sacrifice the way Zac Efron sacrificed. You will never transform yourself for fun. No one does. People transform themselves for art, for significance, for prominence, for narratives that are forever. You must abandon fun to go where Dungeons and Dragons can take you, in my humble opinion. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. What's important is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider liking and subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.